I've just had my online food shopping order delivered and I thought I would show you some of the key items that I had and how I'm planning to use them to help me reach my macro targets. So I've tried to split the foods up into the different sort of key groups like protein and carbs. So yeah, let's get into it. Starting with protein. I've actually got some protein cheese here, which if you haven't tried this before, it's really great for getting in an extra boost of protein, but without the high calories that cheese usually attracts. The only thing that I would say with this is that you really can only use it if you're planning to grate it. It wouldn't be great just eaten as is. So sprinkle it on a toasted sandwich, sprinkle it on a pizza, etc, etc. That's a great option. Also got eggs here, which is also a great source of fat too. Obviously there is protein in eggs, which is fab, but you do have to be careful on the calorie content. So there are leaner ways to get your protein in, but eggs are a great and easy source. Coming to meat, so I'm going to start with the chicken. So I've got an absolutely huge pack of chicken and we eat so much chicken in this house, mainly because it's a really great source of protein and it's a really lean meat. So from a calorie point of view, it's a super great and lean way to get your protein in. And protein is so important, and I know that it's an area where some people can find it difficult to reach their protein target each day. So I would always say you need to be trying to get protein in at every meal, and I would always be aiming to get at least 80 grams worth of 80 to 100 grams even of like chicken or tuna, whatever sauce you're using at each meal, in order to make sure that by the end of the day you've got to where you need to be. So with that chicken, we're going to be, my husband uses it for creating like chicken wraps. I'm also making a big curry in the slow cooker today, so it will go in there too. So lots of different ways to use that chicken. Got some sausages here. Sausages obviously are a source of protein, but do also come with a higher fat content. That being said, it's something that my kids will eat, and so I'm all for just eating normal family meals. For me, I wouldn't have more than 2 sausages in a serving because they're about 176 calories or something. That's pretty precise, isn't it? So 2 sausages is 391 calories. So that's already putting me at almost 400. So do be careful on the calorie content of those. And then I have some salmon. So again, great source of protein, also going to give me some healthy fats, and I'm going to be using that to cook a salad, and I'm going to be eating that for lunch every day this week. I've also got my grenade bars, protein bars. I typically get my protein bars from Aldi, but I'm really fussy and I only like the Jaffa cake flavour. And when I went to Aldi last night, they didn't have any in, so I've had to suck it up and pay a bit extra to get the grenade version. Then I've got my Greek yoghurt. Always use 0% fat, particularly if I'm in a fat loss phase. Again, great source of protein, and that's what I use in my overnight oats together with the oat milk. So oat milk, I find personally in the overnight oats, does give it a creamier texture, and it's a source of fibre as well as protein as well. So that's a really great one. And I personally wouldn't use dairy in my overnight oats, simply because I find the oat milk gives me more breadth for getting to where I need to be. I think that's it on the protein. So moving on, I'll then go through some fibre sources. So I mentioned I'm going to make a salad this week using the salmon. I'm also going to be using these edamame beans. I absolutely love the fresh ones from Tesco, and these are an amazing source of fibre. And making sure that you've got enough fibre in your diet and across each meal is going to make sure that you're fuller for longer and keep you more satisfied, as well as being absolutely great for your gut health. Avocado, again, same thing, great for fibre. Obviously, they do tend to have a bit more fat content in them, So healthy fats is still all good, but I personally stick to a maximum of 40 grams of avocado when I use that in my salad, which if you have a small avocado, it's typically about half of an avocado per serving. But I do always weigh it to make sure, because you can quickly go up on your calories. So I'll be adding that to my salad too. Then these bags of broccoli. Broccoli is another great fibre source. So if you're finding it difficult to get to your fibre target, then broccoli is a great addition to any meal. So we're having a curry this evening, which doesn't have a huge fibre content. So I'm just going to add these packs of broccoli on the side for me and my husband in order to get that content up. And it won't add too many calories either. I've got a random pack of reduced fat soft cheese here. So later in the week, I'm going to use this to create a pasta sauce to have alongside some steak. I'll always go for the reduced fat option because it means you can still essentially get that great flavour, but without the higher calorie content. Then when it comes to carbs, so this is actually what I'm going to be using with that cream cheese in order to create that lovely silky tagliatelle pasta to go with my steak later on in the week. Carbs are so important for energy, for brain function, great around your training. So I honestly eat carbs with literally every single meal. You can still lose fat eating carbs, so carbs are not the enemy, and you will never see me without a carb in my meal. I've got some, to that point, I've got some baby potatoes here that I'm going to be adding into the salad that I'm making for my lunch, so that makes sure I've got some carb content in that salad. And then I've got some red potatoes here that I'm going to be using with the sausages for the sausage and mash that we're having tomorrow night as a family. Potatoes also a good source of fibre. Sweet potatoes are the goat in terms of fibre content in a potato, but I'm not having any of those this week. And finally, last random entry for this mayonnaise. If you haven't seen this one, Hellmann's do this version, which is lighter than light, and it has even lower calories than the light mayonnaise. So again, this is a great option if you're on a fat loss journey. I hope that's been useful. That's just a whistle-stop tour of some of the items from my shopping this week and how I'm going to use them.